What Emma discovered moments before the wedding destroyed her world forever. Based on real events. Emma woke up with the feeling that this was the day the sun streamed through the window, and everything sparkled with promises. Her dress hung in the room, and the last-minute papers in her bag seemed so trivial beside the excitement. She thought about all the sacrifices that had led her here. Night shifts, renunciations, shared dreams. She never imagined that just a few hours later, this illusion would shatter into pieces like struck crystal. The house smelled of fresh flowers and freshly baked bread. The family moved between nervous laughter and forced embraces. Her mother Elizabeth looked at her with eyes that combined pride and a strange unease that Emma couldn't interpret. Friends arrived with gifts. An aunt repeated anecdotes, and a cousin joked to ease the tension. Everything seemed perfect, but there were small silences that no one truly understood. Thomas waited in the garden with an impeccable appearance, with that smile that always promised her a new world. Emma felt her heart pounding in her throat. Every step toward the altar was a beat of hope. Guests took photos, children ran between tables, and music softly embraced the moment. She believed with the naivety that accompanies great dreams that nothing could ruin that afternoon. Laura, her childhood best friend, was among the guests. They hugged as always, exchanging intimate whispers. Laura wiped away a tear and said, "Everything will be perfect," with that voice that made wishes seem achievable. No one imagined that this same friendship now hid a shadow that no one wanted to speak aloud. This shadow, initially timid, grew more intense without Emma knowing why. Her gaze stuck to certain gestures. During the preparations, Emma's mother moved about, dealing with details that seemed mundane to others. Sometimes she spoke quietly with Thomas, and only an echo reached Emma that she couldn't understand. She thought it was nervousness, that emotions from the night before lingered on the surface, and that everything was normal. But the silence between words began to form a sentence that would soon become unbearable. In the dressing room, while they touched up her makeup, someone turned off the music for a moment, and the world stopped. Emma smiled at the mirror, took a deep breath, and told the makeup artist she was ready to be happy without limits. She didn't know that two voices, close and conspiratorial, were weaving a truth she hadn't yet suspected. This innocence was fragile, but still supported her firm steps toward what she believed was her destiny. And so, with hands trembling only from excitement, Emma headed toward the place where she would swear eternal love. Every person clapping seemed to confirm that life was finally giving back what it had denied her. This security, woven with years of hope, made her lower her guard at the moment when she should have been most vigilant. Without knowing it, she was preparing to witness something that would forever change the measure of her trust. The first real sign came in the form of a gesture. Thomas received a message, and his face changed for a second, barely perceptibly. Emma saw him avert his gaze, force a smile, and return to a courtesy gesture that no one suspected was a lie. That second was enough for a question to plant itself. In her mind, why this misplaced nervousness? She dismissed it, thinking it was fatigue, but these small cracks would later widen her certainty. At the table, conversations flowed, toasts rang out, and plates were exchanged. Yet there were glances that escaped to a corner. Laura spoke with someone near the servers, and her laughter turned out quieter than expected. Thomas, meanwhile, approached the kitchen twice without reason. The whispers began to form a murmur that Emma didn't want to hear, because listening would confirm her worst fear. This murmur, initially mild, began to draw a map pointing to possible betrayals. The night before, Emma had called Thomas several times, and he said he was with friends. She believed this excuse with the confidence of one who loves. She didn't suspect that these evenings with friends hid meetings that were now being revealed in pieces. The deleted messages, the silent calls, and the empty spaces built a story behind Thomas's smile. What had been vague signs before began to become evidence before her eyes. When she saw how Thomas smiled with certain guilt, Emma felt a chill down her spine. Her heart wanted to warn her, but reason silenced it. She thought maybe she was overreacting, that wedding nerves were playing tricks on her, and told herself she couldn't ruin that day with suspicions without proof. But doubt, once lodged in the soul, doesn't leave with words. It stays and grows, seeking nourishment in tiny details. Emma began to pay closer attention, trying to notice patterns where she had previously only seen freedom. In a moment of retreat, when she went to the restroom to touch up, she heard a muffled laugh behind a door. She recognized it. Her blood froze when she distinguished Laura's voice mixed with another she knew too well, Thomas's. Emma froze motionless. The world around her continued its rhythm, but for her, everything stopped in that precise second when betrayal became audible. The peace of the ceremony broke in a sharp note that no one else seemed to hear yet. Despite the trembling, she approached silently, pushed the door, and found what her heart still refused to suspect. There they were, intertwined in an embrace that asked no permission, with that secret intensity of those who believe they'll never be caught. The bouquet fell from her hands, and the petals rolled as if they wanted to tell the truth in her place. Thomas and Laura looked at each other, and in their eyes Emma saw a fear that could no longer fit in an excuse. The image was etched, the furtive embrace, the lips close, the certainty that the lie had been repeated too many times. Emma felt something inside her shatter, but her voice didn't tremble. The words came decisively, full of accumulated pain. In the following silence, the entire room held its breath, as if the world awaited the direction she would give this moment. And even broken, Emma took a breath to decide how to turn this blow into her public truth. She didn't shout, didn't let her hands betray the forced calm. She returned to the hall with the composure of one who knows that truth spoken at the precise moment changes the story. When she took the microphone, every eye fixed on her. Friends, family members, faces that once celebrated, now waited for the turn of events. Emma spoke in a clear, measured voice. In every word lived the strength of a person demanding truth, not revenge. She said she wouldn't continue the charade, and that there was something everyone needed to see to understand her decision. Then, with a cold gaze, she projected images on the screen, photographs and messages that confirmed what no one wanted to believe. The images spoke for themselves. The room turned from disbelief into murmuring. The murmur became noise that drowned out the music. Thomas went mute. Laura covered her face with her hands as tears finally poured out. Emma felt firm, knowing her body no longer belonged to the pain of betrayal, but to the fight for her own dignity. The silence became awkward. Applause turned to whispers, and some stood up as if trying to rationalize what happened. An uncle tried to mediate. A cousin covered her face with a napkin. No one knew what to say because no single sentence could have predicted such betrayal in its warmth. Thomas tried to approach with an explanation, but Emma shook her head and said that explanations were waiting for him elsewhere, away from the gazes that now condemned him for loving her. With the same elegance with which she entered, she headed toward the door, but inside was a mixture of peace and storm. Outside the air was different, colder, sharper, but somehow liberating too, which she still didn't fully understand. Emma heard murmurs behind the door, criticism, pity, voices wanting to take a stand. She allowed herself to cry when the doors closed, because tears are the language of those betrayed by loved ones. In her tears were anger, sadness, and a seed of determination that began to germinate. That evening she found no comfort in her family. Calls were scarce, words lukewarm. Some friends reached out with guilt-laden embraces. Others simply disappeared, as if not wanting to taint their image with truth. Emma felt her world had split in two. One part was the woman who dreamed of this day. The other was the one who had to rebuild her life leaning on courage. And in this emptiness, she promised that her name wouldn't be a shadow in other stories. Hours passed, and the news already spread among acquaintances. Her phone constantly vibrated with messages of surprise and strange pain. She answered some, ignored others. She needed order before deciding which path to choose. She didn't seek immediate revenge, because revenge is best cooked with the calm of someone who doesn't want to lose themselves in the same mud. Instead, she let truth do its work, and time show who stays by her side with true loyalty. Left alone, Emma looked at her reflection and noticed something new. A strength she had never known before, born from the same place that caused the wound. She felt she wouldn't be the same, but this difference was perhaps her best weapon to prevent betrayal from defining her fate. With this conviction burning in her chest, she knew the first step was to distance herself, to reflect, heal, and rebuild her life from her own fragments. And so she felt it, not with shouts, but with that firm determination to be reborn from pain. When she woke the next day, Emma felt a void mixed with a strange energy. Her heart still beat fast, but there was clarity. She remembered every gesture, every feigned smile, every embrace that now seemed burdened with lies. The pain didn't disappear, but an inner voice told her she had to face what was coming without fear. She knew she couldn't step back and couldn't ignore the betrayal, because truth had already marked her path. While drinking coffee alone in the kitchen, she mentally reviewed the messages, photos, and words she discovered the night before. Every image was a memory that would have made her smile before, now forcing her to breathe deeply and maintain calm. She thought about how to explain what happened to her family, friends, and how to rebuild her life from this moment. The world seemed to have changed in a few hours, and she knew nothing would be the same again. She decided to dress elegantly, not to please others, but to feel in control of herself. Every step toward the street was an act of courage, as if each step freed her from the chains of deceit. Neighbors greeted her without knowing what happened, and Emma allowed herself to smile. The smile was her shield, though inside burned truth. The day's fresh air reminded her there were still possibilities, and she had to seize them with strength. She checked her phone and saw messages from those who supported her courage. Some congratulated her, others offered comfort. She felt she wasn't completely alone. Though betrayal hurt, there was an echo of solidarity that gave her strength. She decided to write a clear message to Thomas. She didn't want arguments, just to set firm boundaries and clarify her terms. Communication clarity gave her some control over a world that seemed to slip from her hands. While walking in the park in Utrecht, fallen leaves under her feet mirrored her internal state. Fragments falling but forming a path. The sun shone intermittently through clouds, as if nature itself reminded her that calm comes after storms. Emma breathed deeply, using every moment to reinforce her determination. Her mind repeated a sentence she'd told herself many times. "I'm not a victim, but a force in motion." Memories of happy moments with Thomas appeared like ghosts, but Emma faced them without retreat. Every memory taught something: her value, her capacity to love, and her ability to recognize truth in time. There was no room for denial. Pain had to be accepted to transform into learning. With every painful thought, her determination grew, and a seed of hope began to shine. Finally, she decided not to remain in the shadow of others' actions. She needed actions, not just feelings. She developed a step-by-step plan to protect her emotional and financial well-being. Everything had to be strategic, without losing her humanity. She knew life could continue, though trust foundations were violently shaken. And with this firm determination, she promised herself she wouldn't let betrayal define her future. That afternoon, Emma met with trusted friends who offered support and clarity. She listened to advice, but above all felt empathy. She didn't need loud words, just the certainty she wasn't alone in the fight to reclaim her peace. Conversations flowed, mixing tears with laughter, showing that resilience is born from a heart that aches but stands firm. Every gesture of solidarity reinforced her conviction that step by step she could rebuild her life. She decided to confront Thomas and Laura directly, not to fight, but to set boundaries and expose truth without drama. Her words were decisive, clear, and measured. She didn't seek immediate revenge, but respect for herself. The silence following her statement was stronger than any shouting, letting truth speak for itself. They lowered their gazes, aware that the woman before them wasn't the same naive person as before. The reaction of those present varied. Some were surprised. Others admired the calm with which she handled the situation. Emma understood. Her attitude not only set boundaries but also inspired those who witnessed the scene. She learned that dignity in pain possesses a power that transcends the moment, and no one could take it away from her. Upon returning home, she reflected on the happy moments she deserved and the mistakes she shouldn't repeat. She wrote in her journal, putting every feeling and lesson down on paper. It became her guide to resilience. She understood that betrayal doesn't define the victim, but offers the opportunity to be reborn stronger. Each word she wrote reinforced her determination to stand firm and not allow anyone to control her destiny. That night, Emma allowed herself to cry freely, not out of weakness, but to release the pain and make room for hope. The tears were acts of purification. They washed away the bitterness and opened space for clarity and strength. She felt that each tear was a step toward rebuilding, a reminder that she had chosen how to respond to the betrayal. That night, she witnessed a silent process where pain slowly transformed into determination. As she meditated, she remembered that life is based on the balance between what we give and what we receive. Betrayal could not steal her essence. She made a mental list of priorities: peace, autonomy, self-love, and the pursuit of new opportunities. Each element reinforced the idea that rebuilding her life was not an act of revenge, but of self-preservation. The present became hers, and with each breath, she felt control slowly returning to her. Before falling asleep, Emma looked at the sky and gave thanks for the clarity she found amidst the chaos. She understood that strength is not measured by the absence of pain, but by the ability to stand firm with dignity. Each painful thought transformed into a lesson that made her wiser and more aware. And so, with determination, she prepared to face the days ahead with unwavering courage. The second day was filled with encounters and conversations that strengthened her confidence. True friends became visible. She learned to discern who was by her side out of love, and who out of convenience. Every gesture and word contributed to building a safe space around her. Emma understood that betrayal not only reveals the guilty, but also the true allies. Checking her phone, she saw messages of apology and explanations. They didn't interest her, but she kept them as a record of what had happened. Her main objective wasn't confrontation, but rather to solidify her inner peace. Each notification was an opportunity to reaffirm her decision, not to let herself be consumed by anger. The power to decide how to respond was entirely in her hands. She decided to take a walk through Rotterdam, feeling that the world kept turning despite her pain. The fresh air and the unhurried pace reminded her that life goes on, and that she could be the protagonist of her own story. The city maintained its indifferent rhythm, allowing her to observe life with perspective and clarity. Emma understood that her strength didn't depend on others, but on her own resilience. She found a quiet cafe in The Hague and sat down to write down her thoughts. The words flowed freely, without censorship or fear. Each sentence was an act of liberation, a reminder that pain could be transformed into wisdom. Writing allowed her to organize her emotions and establish a clear plan of action. Her mind was no longer trapped in the past. She began to look ahead with determination. She thought about her family, about how to cope without them, thus avoiding unnecessary conflict. She understood that honesty is an act of respect toward herself and those who truly support her. She decided to prioritize relationships that nourish her life instead of clinging to what causes pain. Every decision solidified her sense of control and reinforced her emotional resilience. That afternoon, while organizing her tasks, she realized that pain had made her more aware of her value. She didn't need Thomas's or anyone else's approval. Her recognition came from within. Every planned action, every moment of reflection brought her closer to autonomy. Emma understood that empowerment doesn't come from revenge, but from self-esteem and clarity of goals. At day's end, she allowed herself to rest with the satisfied feeling of having acted with determination and dignity. She felt every step taken, though painful, was a brick in building her new life. Betrayal, though offensive, now became a catalyst for growth and strengthening. With determined wind and clear mind, Emma prepared for the next day, knowing she could face any challenge. At dawn, Emma woke feeling the internal storm beginning to calm. Pain was still there, but mixed with renewed determination. Every breath was now a symbol of her strength. She didn't seek revenge, but rebuilding. She didn't want betrayal to define her life, but to propel her forward. She remembered the lessons learned, the importance of self-worth, setting boundaries, and the company of those who truly matter. Every breath reminded her she controlled her destiny, and that the past only serves as a guide, never as a prison. Emma decided to go out for a walk, feeling the sun on her face and fresh air in her lungs. This was a silent symbol of freedom. Every step distanced her from pain and brought her closer to the life she deserved. For the first time in days, she smiled without guilt, without fear, knowing she'd found her own path. If this story touched you, leave a comment and subscribe so you don't miss future videos featuring true stories. Betrayal doesn't define their fate. Their future is determined by the strength with which they rise.